Hello and welcome back to the channel and to a very important day here in my life as a trainee pilot on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I've been going through the career mode and going for my first pilot's license, and they tell me I'm ready. So we got to put into practice everything that we've learned so far. So we've got all our pre-flight stuff, so we have some nice visual indicators here on the screen that we need to remove engine covers, we need to remove the static port cover. He says like he knows what one of those is, and a pitot cover. I might be mispronouncing that, apologies if I am. And then finally the chocks, so as they say, chocks away. So that's all our exterior checks. We can visually check the tyres and things like that, so we can press that and it shows that the condition is fine, but that's not part of the requirements for this exam. We can see our mission steps up in the top right there, and so essentially this is all the things that we've trained for up to now. And I've got to say I failed a number of times, mainly because I was overcorrecting once things started to go a little bit south. So I stalled the plane quite a few times, and I also was overcorrecting and crashed it a few times as well. So I find it easier to do it with the external view. The center of the dual sense will enable you to change between cockpit and exterior. So the first thing we're going to do, as we can see there, we've got these handy on-screen prompts, is to hold R1 and down to complete the pre-flight stuff.
To complete a left-hand traffic pattern, respecting the flight path and all required speeds.
Okay.
Rely on what you have learned in your trainings, and you'll be fine.
So we've got
now,
some.
Show me the best traffic pattern that you got.
Okay. So I haven't had to do this bit in the training, but I've got to request taxi clearance. So I do that with the left on the directional stick there.
Cessna Golf Bravo Romeo Sierra Papa. Ready to taxi. Close traffic with Mike.
So as you can see, we've got a rather impressive jet in front of us.
And hold short runway 27 via taxiway Zulu Alpha. Contact tower on 136.08 when ready.
Okay, so we can press our directional button there to acknowledge.
Hold short runway 27 using taxiway Zulu Alpha. Cessna Romeo Sierra Papa.
Okay, press R1 and square to release the parking brake. So we need to get to press X to get our propellers going at some speed. We don't want to go too fast, we don't want to crash into other aircraft. I'm a bit confused why this one is right in front of us like that, because that means we're not following the arrows. I'm just going to reduce my speed with circle because it is not an immediate kind of stop, so we're going to have to hold there at that point. So we want to control our speed. Square is for the brakes, X is to throttle up, circle to throttle down. So let's keep this nice and steady because that's a live runway, and I think we were going to be taxiing to 2-1. So you learn quite a bit actually as you're going through, in that apparently the names of runways are named after the degree that they face, less or rounded down. So if it was facing 360 degrees, then it would be runway 36. And apparently they always take off into the wind as well. We need a little bit more speed or we'll never get there. Better to be overcautious than over egg because we'll fail our exam. And there's a couple of components to this as well, so I'll make sure I get this right. Right, so we've stopped at the hold short. We now need to press X by accident there. So let's request our
Bristol Tower, Cessna Golf Bravo Romeo Sierra Papa ready.
Let's throttle that right down. That's the reason we're moving forward.
Cessna Golf Bravo Romeo Sierra Papa. QH 1013 left closing traffic approved. Cleared for takeoff runway 27.
Okay, so we're cleared for takeoff at runway 27. Acknowledge that to the flight tower.
Cleared for takeoff runway 27. Cessna Romeo Sierra
Have a little
Papa.
look around, make sure we got no traffic. We learnt that in our tutorial. Throttle up to get moving. We didn't have the parking brake on, so we don't need to remove it. And we can use our rudder here to steer rather than the yoke, which are R1 and R2 buttons. And then we need to get up to speed for takeoff. R3 on the stick, on the right stick even. That will recenter our view, which is very helpful. We need to get up to 65 knots takeoff speed. Pull back nice and gently on the yoke. And we need to get up to our climbing speed there, or climbing height. It's got a fair bit of runway to go at there. Keep it nice and steady. So generally speaking, X is throttle up, circle throttle down, the brakes on the ground are square, and we've also got our directional up and down buttons to control the flaps as well. Up on the top left we've got our flight path marked out in that pink, and slow my speed down here, marked out on the pink there, and we've also got some nice on-screen prompts here as well. I'm going to have to bank a little bit more steeply to get through these. So it's really sensitive actually, and the tendency to overcompensate is massive, especially when, so let's just slow this down again to make this turn, especially when you get the stall message. You immediately want to hit the throttle and turn in the complete opposite direction. So the flaps, by using those, we can essentially have less throttle but better airspeed. So we're going to increase our speed here just to maintain our altitude, level out, and look at that beautiful countryside down below. It looks really realistic at this kind of altitude. So we're basically doing a loop of the airport. We're going to come back in to the downwind leg, which is where we're going to reduce our airspeed and start thinking about landing. So we can then, I think on the tutorial it prompted us to lower our flaps to 10 degrees. So I'm just coming down to the end of the base here. I'm going to ease back on the throttle there. So we've got clearance to land on the runway there. It's nice to have these visual cues to the lineup, because we didn't have that on the tutorial. It's actually yeah, acknowledge.
Clear to land runway 27. Cessna Romeo Sierra Papa.
Ooh, we're too fast, so we need to slow right down here. We're struggling to keep inside this. I desperately want to pass this first time on camera. 500. Right, slow down now. We're going to reduce our flaps, and we're going to kill our speed right down now. We're coming in very, very up fast, right down to idle on the throttle. So we didn't really follow through all of those, but I'm hoping we can get a nice smooth landing here. Oh, right at the end there. That's pretty devastating. Oh, okay, so it's given us the chance to just do the final approach, which is good. So it does cost you 2,000 credits to take the test, but that is a one-time fee, as it will prompt you. We've got a warning, which I've turned those down because it was pretty annoying.
Did you hear my last transmission?
I did acknowledge. This is not going to go well. Okay, full on the brakes, rudder to get towards the centre of the runway with our R1 and R2.
Cessna Romeo Sierra Papa. You are not cleared to land. Clear the runway.
We're not clear to land. Okay, I thought we just needed to land, but we need to get off the runway as well.
Cessna Romeo Sierra Papa. You are not cleared to land. Clear the runway.
So we've gone way off track here. I don't think we're passing that. Okay. So you can see quite, no pun intended, there can be a bit of a steep learning curve. There are some loading screens in between as well. I think we're going to have to start this again. Oh, okay, no, it's going to let us just go onto the parking stand. So R1 and square to release the parking brake. I don't think so where I went wrong there, I think I didn't request permission to land. This is quite a lot to consider, actually. Oh, it's telling us to go up and round. Sorry, that's my bad. I'm not exactly covering myself in glory here. So let's try and control this with the rudders. That's a little bit more like it. So just a little bit more throttle. That's quite forgiving, actually, because if I would have had to restart this every time I had a bit of a failure, this could have been a different video. So with my pilot's license, hopefully I can then set about starting my my own airline. And again, giving it too much. I think as long as we can land in the parking stand, we're probably good. Right, throttle right down. Okay, that was not great, as I think we could see there. It won't let me actually throttle down. Okay, we made a right old mess of this one. Let's see if we can get back round again. Oh, I was hoping for a first time pass on camera, but you know, this is warts and all quite clearly. I thought I'd landed in the parking stand there. So we'll keep it at this nice steady pace. Oh, it will let me go right down to idle now, but as you can imagine, it will take quite a while. Try and get some momentum. But not too much. Wow, this is the worst taxiing ever. We're edging towards completion. R1 and square to set the parking brake. R1 and down directional to complete the shutdown procedure.
Great job. There's always room for improvement, right?
I'm not sure how to classify as that as a great job, but we were successful. So incredibly, we've somehow managed to get a B out of that. So we did all right on the traffic pattern altitude. The traffic path was excellent. As we saw there, the taxi path was atrocious, I would say, let alone 50%. And then plane handling overall, 68%. We'll take that. That gives us a pass, and it gives us our pilot's license. So I don't want to click retry. Thank you very much. So there we have it. So, as you saw there, not the greatest level of skill in the world. I did get a bit sidetracked early in the game, as I imagine a lot of people will do, in that rather than just going through the tutorials and things, the pilot's license, I looked at all the different options that were available to me, and there are a lot, so it feels like a good balance. So I think the hardcore flight sims enthusiasts are going to be quite impressed with the level of detail, the level of scope and depth. I mean, being able to fly from real world locations to real world locations, even in potentially real time with weather conditions, and essentially Google Earth recreating real world environments beneath you, then that's going to be incredible. More so when there's VR added, which is due to land at some point in 2026. There was talk of early 2026. I did a little bit more research, and they were saying basically the game works, but they need to finesse it. So they were thinking of potentially just adding it as a kind of work in progress, use at your own risk kind of thing. But then they decided that that might not give users the initial experience that they would want them to have, and therefore they'll release it when it's ready. Which kind of 50-50 on that. I'd love to be able to jump into VR. If it was incredibly janky or unplayable even, then I can well understand that most people are going to be putting comments on platforms such as this, like YouTube, to say how bad it is and it could really ruin the game from the outset. So hanging fire to deliver a polished product makes absolute sense. I just hope that that doesn't take too much longer. Probably the nearest barometer for this kind of thing would be Gran Turismo 7. Is it Gran Turismo 7? Let's just call it Gran Turismo, which is in VR mode. That did get added a while later. It's extremely polished, and it just really knocks that experience up a good few notches. More so if you can get yourself a gaming wheel. For this particular game, flat screen or VR, whenever that lands, pun not intended, the HOTUS 4, so the Thrustmaster T-Flight HOTUS 4 is, according to all the forums I read, the only compatible flight stick for the PS5 that's guaranteed to work with this game. And as you can imagine, they are sold out everywhere. The normal retail price looked pretty reasonable at about £80. As you can imagine, people have snapped those up. So there's the ones I've looked at on the likes of eBay and Facebook, are people now selling them for kind of 200 and saying they've got 4 available. So I think when it was common knowledge that this game was going to land, people have obviously gone out and secured themselves a job lot to make a profit, and that means that there's limited availability, shall we say. I imagine that demand is going to jump up massively when the VR support does get added. So I do think it would add something to it. But yeah, again, you got to give it a go with the DualSense in the first instance. And you can either control that with the thumbsticks, or you can turn it on to tilt, which I found personally a little bit tricky, because you don't realise that you're tilting it whilst you sat there and your plane's going all over the place. I did make another video of just first impressions, where we went through the different menus and just jumped very quickly into each one of the different modes. So the photo mode allows you to go to real world locations and have almost a free flight around them. You can take photographs, it's really cool. There's a free flight mode where you can select from anywhere on the globe, again, pretty much like Google Earth, and you can set yourself either a free flight, or you can set yourself a takeoff and landing destination, which is absolutely incredible. As you get further down to the ground, and you can get out of your aircraft as well and walk around these environments, as you would imagine, you're not going to have the world recreated in absolute perfection detail. So there is a marketplace. I've not delved too much into that, but there was already some free DLC on there where some of the better known locations of the world have been rendered in increased graphical quality, which is nice. I've not looked at the microtransactions as some kind of in-game currency. I think, looking up on the top right there, we do have credits. It would be nice if then performing tasks in-game allows you to build up credits that you could then use to unlock content. That would be really cool as well. So I'll report back on that as I spend more time in the game. So to summarize it, there is a steep learning curve, again, no pun intended, as you'd expect on a sim such as this, but it's not beyond reasonableness to not just want to jump in and basically control your aircraft. So you X for throttle up, circle for throttle down. You then got L2 and R2 for flaps, so you don't have to bank too much. And there's a whole myriad of settings in there regarding every aspect of the plane itself. So it's a very, very polished game, and looks like a good balance between a true sim and something that gamers would also enjoy. There's also a free Stranger Things. I was just trying to think of the town that it's based in. Whilst I said that, there's a Stranger Things DLC where you can fly a helicopter and do some kind of missions in the world of Stranger Things, which I'm sure will appeal to a lot of people as well. So there we have it. We did pass our pilot's license. That will give us access to a number of different aircraft, and I'm going to see where that takes me. It probably took me around about 2 hours to get it because, I overcompensated quite a bit when trying to readjust, and that led me to failing some of the test ones. As you saw on the actual test there, it's pretty forgiving in that rather than having to start the whole thing again, it will kind of jump you back in at the last point that you pass successfully. So it's good because you don't want it to be evasive in that if you can't perfectly pass the tests, then you can't progress in the game. I hope that's been helpful. Thank you very much for watching. I will be making some more videos. I can't really do them in episodes because the load times in between different screens are fairly... is excessive the right word? There's quite a lot of them, which doesn't make for great content, and so I'll probably just do some videos when I come across something cool, which looks like it's going to happen fairly regularly. So please do give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Please let me know your comments, your thoughts on the game. It released in December. We're now on early March, so there'll be people that have put quite a number of hours into this game. So what kind of DLC is worth picking up? What's free? I'm happy to pick up the free stuff And what would you recommend? Where do you get your enjoyment out of this game? And of course, if you click that subscribe button, it means that you'll see the content as it comes up. It's free, it takes a second, and it also means that my videos reach a wider audience. And I'll see you in a future video.